It's going.
Okay. Right. Good evening, everyone. I don't know if anyone's watching at the minute because I've only just pressed live. So I'll give it a second or two because it says comments will appear here in the chat, but I'm not going to be able to watch that because I'm going to be sat over there. Let's have a look.
Live.
You're live on the Chayah group as well. So if anyone's watching and you've got on Facebook, if you can either watch it on here on my councillor page, or if you've got the Chayah Development Project, I've got a Facebook page, you can watch it on there because you'll be able to put questions on there, and I think they might pop up, we might be able to see them, I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to dive in front of the camera now, so if anyone's commenting on the comments, I'll come back over in a minute and have a look. I can't see them at the minute. All right, won't sit on that, do I? Oh yeah, there is a delay, isn't there? Look.
Massive.
Right, so I've got some questions on here. So, well, that's weird, being a delay on there, and you just got to ignore it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Right, so we're here at Chayah Development Project over in, what area are we in? We're in St Anne's, the Chayah Group. So I'm here, Richard MacRae from Stafford Community Group. We've got Chayah in the middle, which is from the Chayah Development Project, and in the end we've got Lisa, who's going to be running Joe's World. So if I let them introduce themselves, I've had, unfortunately, only 2 people have submitted questions, but I will read them out and then we'll like the rest of it.
And then Lurleen is on.
Oh, and we've got a lady on called Lurleen, which is, what's your role?
Oh, sorry. No, I literally do some work, but I'm not going to say who I am, who I work for, just that I've done work with Lisa, so she knows me. Right,
okay. So we've got another lady here, but she's here in voice, but not in body because she's on Zoom team. I don't know. She's on the internet. So right. So if we'll start in the middle then. So if you want to introduce yourself, just for those that's watching that don't know who you are and what you do.
Okay. My name is Hyacinth, known as Chayah. I'm the founder and CEO for the Chayah Development Project. We're based in St Anne's, but we're Nottingham City and County. We also work internationally as well. We're an outreach project working with families affected by trauma, primarily with the young person first and then the extended family.
Lisa?
Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm here basically because I've been affected by knife crime within the last year. My son died due to that, and I was introduced to these 3 lovely people who all support the community in different ways, and we are just here today to chat about the diversities of it all.
Yeah, okay. So I've had a question submitted. I'm trying to find it on here. Just give me a second. Right, okay, so we've had one question submitted, the first one, and it says, can you ask what support is available for young people in Nottingham that have been involved in gang violence, child criminal exploitation and wanting to leave? And do you know of any specific training professionals working with young people at risk? And then I'll read the rest of it in a minute. And while you're doing that, I'm taking my jumper off. I'm sweating like mad in here.
I'll start. There are a number of programmes in the Nottingham City. I'm not quite known of many in the county, but we've been working up there for about 3.5 years, or probably a bit more. But in the city, we have a number of different programmes that work with young people affected by crime, and different roles. So we've got mentoring programs, we've got sports, we've got music, we've got outreach, and we've got family engagement. So there are quite a few. VRU, Nottingham City Council, would also be able to signpost you to agencies throughout Nottinghamshire.
Really might be able to help.
Yeah. Is there anything the young lady that's hiding on the internet would like to add to that for people that's listening?
I'm not hiding, thanks, Richard. But anyway, because I can't.
What I
mean. my phone's rubbish. It's a lot more difficult in the county than it is city to actually know what actually is available, if I'm honest. it doesn't come very easily to hand.
Oh, why is that?
Good point, Lisa. We had this conversation quite a while ago, didn't we? Don't know.
Yeah.
Don't
Why
know.
would it be
It's
any
very,
different?
it's very fragmented. It seems to be if you're the young person in trouble that you can get
Yeah.
that. But it's a very fine line if you're in trouble because you're a victim, where to go. It's a very, very fine line. But no, nothing sort of stands out when I'm trying to find anywhere.
For them people that want to find help, so there's hardly anything in the county, but there is in the city.
Yeah, it's a
Ah.
lot different.
This is one of the reasons we started working together as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we said, I say it all the time, how can we tell the youngsters not to fall out over postcodes, because that is a big thing in different areas, when professional services won't work together because they go, oh, you're in the city, we can't work with you, you're in the county. It don't make sense because a lot of these issues are in both areas.
That's not right though, is
No,
it?
not at all. So what was the question again? Is there any
And where is it?
yes, of
Are they
course.
in the city or the county? So it depends if they're in the city or the county then,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Because there's lots of groups out there, you know. I know I'm going to miss some here, so I don't mean any offence if I miss any, but you've got the Chayah Development Project, you've got the Python group as well, haven't you? And then there's this.
You've got Helping Kids Achieve. You've got Switch Up.
But that's the city based.
Evolve. These
Yeah,
are all city.
they're all in the city.
But we've also started working within the county, quite a lot of us, because we realise there's a massive gap, you know, of services there. Yeah, the city, we're quite fortunate. So you can have a choice of who you go to or utilise them all. But when we first came into Stapleford, we found that it was just us at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, you used the first group to come out there and help, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
I mean, there is
does it?
other people wanting to do stuff, you know, like the youth club do what they do.
Is it all down to funding and what councils put into what? Because I don't know, because I don't know what funding or anything is.
I always think some of it is I mean, perhaps I shouldn't say this, but I don't care. I think some of it's ignorance as well. Because people are like, oh, you've heard me say it loads of times, and I'll always say, I've stood up in council meetings and been told to sit down and shut up and don't talk about it because it's not something the council deal with.
Right.
But the councillors should deal with it because you're elected to represent the good in your community, the bad in the community, the people that elected you and the people that didn't.
So there's an ignorance of, oh, it doesn't happen in the county, it only happens in the city.
Yeah.
So now we're struggling with the county because there is nowhere for the youngsters to go.
No. And this is why, I mean, I do think we're lucky in Stapleford because we have got, you know, we've got 2 football clubs, we've got a netball team and that, but at the same time, not all kids are into sport.
No.
And there isn't a lot of stuff out there that caters for other things. So that doesn't mean people are wrong in what they're doing because, you know, there's a load. We've got, I always say 2 football teams because there is, and there's hundreds of kids a week playing football, which is brilliant. There's loads of kids playing netball, which is brilliant. There's loads of kids that go to the youth club, that's brilliant. There's still loads of kids that don't want to do any of that. You know, so we need to find these other things. And this is where I say we need to listen to what the youngsters are telling us and not tell them what they need.
Meet them where they're at. You know, I mean, we're all parents. You know, we need to kind of listen. I've got grandchildren, so I'm not listening to my daughter now. I'm listening to my grandchildren from the age of 18 to 5. Yeah. So you know, times have changed, services have changed, and for me, you know, what we thought was good for my daughter's age group is not what these youngsters want, you know, and we've got to look at it that even right now with the closures of many of these family centres that they're closing down within Nottingham City, they're again putting pressure on parents to provide activities for children and young people which are not cheap. No. So if there's family centres being closed down, the youth centres are being closed down, prices of activities are going up, how do we expect parents to maintain, you know, certain activities for their children? Yeah. And the young people at the age of 14 plus, youth clubs wouldn't hold them anyway, because the youth club closing at 8 o'clock at night. It's not for them.
And how extensive is it to do anything anyway?
Yeah, a lot of things. I mean, like I'll say we're lucky again in Stapleford because we've got 6 projects that we're doing at the minute, and one of them is £6.4 million for a new community centre, community hall, which is for the sports and the other sides of the community, and also a new youth club going on in Kisley Park. Right, that ain't going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take a few years, you know, for it to be actually built on there. So we can see something good coming, but then you've got to make sure the right services and stuff are in there. So yes, it's got to cater for sport, but back to it's got to cater for the wider community. So the next question on here, someone's actually put, what safety measures are available to family members of young people who may have been impacted by violence and are only accessible by the police?
Well, there again.
Which we don't know. As anyone else supposed to find out? Do you know what I mean? I think these things aren't advertised enough.
I don't think there is any, is there?
There's nothing out there.
Can I come in there?
Yes.
The only thing I can say, when we get anybody through, normally the council are the ones who normally, along with the police, who move young people, families out of areas for safety. That's the only way I know that's ever done.
So if you've got somebody being harassed or bullied, and so what support does their family get?
None. They literally are told. They literally are told move.
Oh,
It's not support. Is
So
it?
that's not support, is it?
So we raise the safeguarding because there's an incident, and we send that off to safeguarding department. We've done that before, and it's taken 3 or 4 days for them to get back to us. Now, if this is an emergency and these families need support there and then, there is nothing unless an agency takes it upon their own backs to support them and try and get in them temporary accommodation.
But again,
Should you?
let me say something. When I know families that happen, families normally say it doesn't happen overnight. It's normally the intimidation, harassment has gone on over a period of time. And only if there are little children or literally have to be literally almost threatened with your life, that the council then will move with the support of the police. And it's not an easy process.
Would they pass it to social services?
Well, yeah, because if there's normally children involved, but social services or social care will tell you that's really not much they can do other than say it's the police's job to prosecute and the housing to move the family.
So you can see why some people don't want to report things,
Yeah,
and they don't want to come forward. So, you know, I always say social media isn't the police, because people will put things on social media.
Yeah.
This is happening, that's happening, but they won't bring the police. I'm not having to go to the police for this, you know, because they can only do what they can do, the limited amount of resources they've got. But this is perhaps why we have the issue of people don't report things. And if things don't get reported, the police haven't got like a spike in an area where there's certain things happening, and then it just goes on and on and on because they get away with it.
And plus, it seems to be that there's like, this is going on, so the bullying's going on, nothing happens. The police can't do anything till something actually happens. The police are reactive rather than proactive. So we've got nobody being proactive to stop all this before a crime is actually committed, which then the police can do something. But before then, it's not down to the police to try and guide people, is it?
So who's it down to then? Because at the end of the day,
there's a gap.
you know, there is that gap, and like you said, if it's a single mother with children underage, you know, if she's been to the police, knows no support, she's fearful to go to social care because she doesn't want them in her life.
Looking in your fridge.
You know,
she's got a bit of cheese and milk.
So at the end of the day, where do you go? And that's, I think, where voluntary agencies have been filling the gap for where local authorities should be taking that pressure. And I feel, you know, we don't get recognised enough. They call us a third sector. And like I stated, we're not the third sector. We're the best sector because we're responsive. You know, where they will sit back and wait for an incident. They go through all these marshes and children's in need and all these stuff, but people need action.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if each community had like a something
enough.
before it got to the police, because the police can't actually do it all. They need evidence.
And I think the schools have got a lot to answer for as well. I'm not going to say any specific schools because I don't think that's fair. But I know full well that one school in Stapleford was offered the DARE programme and they've turned it down. Now, I don't know what the reason is, but they've turned it down. I know another school that I will say, I know a school in Stapleford where the youth club have put a programme together about knife crime. They've gone to speak to the relevant people at school who said, yes, we like this idea, we'll get back to you. And they've not got back to anybody. So I think because schools don't want or to admit there's a problem, because if they say there's a problem, people might not send the children to our school, but we want it to be up here. Because bullying is rife in schools.
Massive.
You know, people do take knives into schools. People do take drugs into schools. They do. And I think when people don't admit that and don't realise there's a problem, that is a problem. And they need to know, well, actually, we know that's happening. Let's deal with it. And when people are offering to do the DARE programme or to put programmes on in your schools and supply it all fully funded and everything, I think it's wrong and it's bloody rude that the schools don't want to do it because they don't want to admit there's a problem. Well, there is.
Yeah. But I've noticed in Derby lately, Alveston, the comprehensive school, they had, is it Scepter?
The operation set there, that's running at the minute.
They've been in to that school, okay. Chellaston Academy, one linked with George Spencer, they've had a stabbing near their school, they've not had that in.
Yeah.
The Derby Hospital have had a big sign on the outside. What happens in Nottingham? They're massive. Where's the visual?
Yeah.
Where is the visual Scepter or whatever it's called?
Yeah.
Where is it?
I think with Nottingham, I don't know what they're fearful for, because even the Knife Angel,
Yeah, I love it.
there's a young lady called Natasha Johnson that's been trying to get it into the city for quite a while, and Nottingham City has said no. You know,
We're a massive city though.
how many lives have been taken in the city with knives?
Yeah.
You know, that Knife Angel, I'll be honest, it's not something that is, I wouldn't say it's good to look at, but you know there's knives on there that have taken lives from our young people.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's something that smaller cities are looking at, smaller towns are looking at.
Scotland Cove's on the list.
And
Yeah.
Nottingham City say no.
Nothing's on the list if you look. But
Oh, it's
right
on
now,
the list, but they're still in
it's
conversation.
an idea.
That's just making them look good.
Well, they've got.
Well, they're on the list, but they said no.
I know. They've got,
That's just making them look good that they're having a conversation.
they've got money to spend on energy companies, but not on knife angels. But hey ho.
And an ice rink.
Right. So we do here. Have you heard of Got Your Back in Derbyshire? And is there something similar in Nottingham? I haven't heard of that.
I've not heard of anything.
Can I comment on that?
Definitely.
That company which got your right, Lisa will remember when I came to meet with herself and Joseph, that was the trial we were trying to do. Lisa, Got Your Back. It's my company, Remedy, which run Got Your Back, but we can't get the funding, and I've told Lisa this many a times, to do that mentoring part, which would link what that would do for us as we're part of the Youth Offending Service. We wanted to do it to link in, because I've said this to Hyacinth as well. There seems to be nothing, we can't always use as Hyacinth says, the best sector when we're constrained, if that makes sense. Because, you can't use that because that's not for whatever reason. But Got Your Back is a brilliant service, and it supports young people from start to finish. Lot of links, very good. But it's very much victim based.
Well, Lily, why is Derby and Derbyshire getting more than Nottingham?
Because the council
well, to be fair, that's I'm going to be very and say that is political. Sorry.
Yeah, of course
That's
it is.
bad,
So not here, because I think it's the wrong place to do it. But can you get in touch with me separately about this? Got Your Back, and if it's something we want to do, if it's funding, that's something we can look at getting. And I've got some ideas of people to contact. But if you can let me know some facts and figures and everything, I can pass it on. We can try, can't we?
Right. I don't know how much it cost, but I literally know it was set up in Derby years ago, and I still have. If I have victims who are moving out to the Derby line, I will automatically put those referral in. They're my colleagues and they're really good at what they do.
What age group is that?
It seems to be any age, what would they get referred into? There doesn't seem to be, far as I remember, but it's on the website. You can see you got your back literally on the website.
Oh, wow.
Okay, well, we'll find some links to that and we can share them, can't we?
Yeah, you got it. They are.
You know, we are in Bedford. We have the line, don't Sandy Acre is Derbyshire, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like a fine line whether you get helped or not, isn't it?
Yes. Well, that you say that I did have a young person. That's exactly what happened. They lived over the Derbyshire postcode and got all the support. I was over the moon to give them that, and said, look, put the referral
And
in.
this goes back to what we were saying earlier. How can we tell the kids not to argue and fall out over postcodes in areas
If we are.
when it's what's happening when you look higher up, isn't it? It becomes political
Yeah.
and all, and it shouldn't. At the end of the day, it should be if you need help, you get the help, not or you live in the wrong place. It's wrong.
Yep.
It's wrong. So the next question I've got on here is how can local authorities and councillors best work to support alternative methods of engagement with families at risk? That's actually come from another councillor, so thank you for that.
Listening is the first step, you know, getting to know the people within their areas as well, and you know, and look at services that are missing, because you know, like we say, even in the city we've got all these services, but there's gaps, you know, so we need to kind of cover those gaps and find out what is missing and try and get that done, because not one size fits all, if you know what I mean. So you know, it's listening to your listen to your people in your area, get to know what services are in the area, and do your best to get to bring things together.
So a lot of people don't know what's out there, do they?
To be fair though, as just a normal parent, councillors and councils, it's a bit foreign. So maybe if we know more about, I don't know, they're a bit, it's different.
They're the key holders, though, aren't
They are
So,
the key holders, so
yeah.
I don't know what maybe, I don't know, be a little bit more open. I know
And
yourself
available.
is, but not everybody
No,
is.
but this is why at Broxtowe,
I mean, sometimes I don't know who the councillor
we
is.
had you guys come to Broxtowe, so we had the Chayah project come to do a presentation to Broxtowe.
Yes.
And I mean, I know you was there. I've never heard so many quiet councillors, including myself, be so quiet for so long.
Yeah.
Because every single person, and it's got nothing to do with what parties people, and every single person in that room listened, and every single person took it all in, and I won't say enjoyed it, because it's not an enjoyable thing to be talking about, but it's something you have to talk about. It's real, it's happening, and I think it's just an eye-opener. Some people don't know, so when some councillors don't know, that's not a criticism, they just don't know, like some people don't know. So some of the stuff that is going out there, you don't know, because you just don't, you're not involved in that world. I do think that people need to, you know, walk a bit further the end of your garden and see what's going on.
Do you think they've listened this time because something's happened in their area? Because if it hadn't have happened, would they have listened?
Yeah, but when it's on your doorstep,
That's it, you
Yeah.
have to listen.
yeah,
So maybe it's a case of, is that why they're listening now?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but
Oh,
it is.
excuse me.
Because before it would have been, oh, it doesn't happen in this area,
It's them over there.
leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Oh dear, must be up perfume or something. Oh. Crikey. So that's the only questions I've been sent. So I don't know what anyone else wants to talk about. Well, really, I actually thought we'd get loads of questions. It's a great opportunity for people to see questions. Let me just look on the back of my phone to see if anyone has any put anything, but I don't hold much hope on that one. Oh, hang on. It looks like there is a question. Right, hang on a minute. Just give me a second so I can. Right. If the police had £10,000 to spend to tackle knife crime issues in different areas, what do you think the best way to spend it is? That's just obviously they haven't. It's just a quite general question, so that's a good question.
I'd think working with the voluntary sector, and you know, getting to know who we are, what we do, and I think listening to us rather than jumping in heavy-handed.
don't give it the police, give it the youth workers.
Yeah. So someone's actually commented on it. I didn't see. I'm sorry, I didn't see the question. It just says, so it was obviously what we were talking about earlier. It says Nottingham Police and Crime Commissioner, both City and Nottingham Council needs to all get around the table and promise funding for this. Well, that's true. That I think that goes back to that.
Yeah.
Got your back, or whatever it's called, the Derby thing.
Yeah,
so I'm
instead of-
guessing it was that possibly.
You know, just giving it to the police who deal with it at the end. Why don't we go back to the youth services?
Marie, if you're
Go
watching, do you want to put a question on here because I
intervention.
can't get my
Yeah.
emails on here. So, Marie, if you're still watching and you want to put a question in the chat, it'll on the comments, it'll come up, and then I can see it on the screen before I dive back around the table. So I'll give you a minute or two. Yeah, I mean, I remember ages ago, I think you was there, Chayah. We had a meeting. I think it was the initial meeting of the VRU, if you can remember. We was at the ice rink in Nottingham.
Yeah.
And we sat upstairs, and it was all adults in there. And we was all saying, oh, we shouldn't be listening to the youngsters and that. And there was no youngsters there,
No,
right? Jump forward a week or two. I don't know if you went to the next
No,
one.
I didn't.
There was another meeting that I got invited to by the previous Police and Crime Commissioner, Paddy, and that was down at the county cricket ground. I think it was a cricket ground, or it was down that way somewhere. And when I went there, it was all the youngsters, and there was no adults there speaking about similar things. And I'm like, yeah, yes, it's good these conversations are happening. They should be happening together, because the adults are
Never
supposed to
two
do.
meet.
No.
And the thing about it is they need to, I mean, we need to intertwine in the services, you know, if it's a youth service, where are the youths?
Yeah.
Don't have the youths in there because they're in trouble.
Oh, I can see that now, Maria.
But, you know, have them in there so you can learn from them.
Yeah.
You know, the reality of the streets is dangerous out there. And unless you know exactly what is happening,
Yeah,
you
I think
can't
so.
stop anything.
Right, I've got one here. It says, can I ask, what has been put in place for the families, friends and local communities to help them cope with the aftermath of such tragedy in regards to the mental health following such a tragic event? So I'm guessing that's what happened last year, isn't it? I mean, I know that's all that's on there, isn't it? So I'm guessing that's to do with your son last year. And I know Chayah was the first person I rang up after I spoke to you.
Yeah.
I know we went straight down on the parks with the police and that to talk to the youngsters, because God, I still get upset thinking about it, because there was just angry. There was a lot of anger there, wasn't there? I mean, you came down as well on a few of the nights.
Yeah,
didn't you?
they have been left.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, nobody's touched base with them. No authorities have touched base with them.
No, I think the only people who went down to talk to them was yourself. I know
Yeah.
your lad was there,
Yeah.
and some of the youngsters.
Yeah, they've supported themselves.
Yeah, I think they have, haven't they?
They've
Chayah was
supported
there. I went down. The
themselves.
police was there,
Yeah.
but there was nothing
No.
else there. It was just sitting and listening to them, wasn't it? And listening to them
What's
breathe.
new? I mean, I can go back 20 years. And those young people, when they were young then, who are now 40, nearly 40, not there, they didn't get any support. There's no follow-up. I think the immediate family, until the trial,
None.
and after the trial, you may get a knock
You
on the
kind of have
door.
to search for yourself, if I'm honest, or you know, you get introduced to lovely people and help yourself, like Lily and you guys. You become friends, kind of. Do you know what I mean? But apart from that, no.
So what? I mean, if you don't want to answer this or you can't, just tell me to shut up. What would, if someone had knocked on your door and said this to help you, what would this have been? I know that might be a tricky question.
It's hard. Right, a lot happens that you have to do for yourself. So a tiny bit. I do have victim support. They are come through, but obviously lockdown. It's all Zoom because I've never met anybody. It's all on the phone. That side of it's okay, but I just think, you know, when you speak to the youngsters, my older son particularly, he feels like, what's the point? Nobody cares. Where do we go? Josie's friends don't know where to go now. We don't want any bad path, but what do we do now? Where do we go? This is horrendous. Nobody's supported them in that way.
So this goes back.
So can I come in on that? When we done the walk, and I think I mentioned to thank for Chayah for this, I was actually on the outskirts talking to some of these young people because they recognised me. And I sort of said to a couple of them, how are you all doing? And they were really still shell shocked. I mentioned that to Chayah and you, Lisa, didn't I? And no one, you're right, had spoken to them. And they were almost like, when I said, how are you all doing? They genuinely looked shocked that anybody had even asked them the question, you know. And it was when that young person, and Chayah was good to say to go to, I don't know if he did go to you, Richard, about where to get. He said after Joe's death, a lot of young people don't know where to go. Also, it's made them reevaluate their life and what they can do, but they don't know where to turn. And that is and that really, for me, was really heart-wrenching hearing these. There were about 3 or 4 of them saying that. So what are we doing? So we've got these young people who are just saying, where do we go? What do we do?
And this is back to that, not everyone wants to do youth sport, nothing against that. Not everyone wants to go to the youth club.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
what do we do? What do we need to put in place for them if they don't know, we don't?
Bear in mind, some of these children were at the age of, they left school in lockdown. So basically, it was, we're in lockdown now. You don't have to sit your exams. Off you go.
Yep.
Yeah. And then they're like, well, what do we do now? There is no school. Where do they go? There's no leaving do. There's no nothing. There's no careers advice. There's no nothing. So it's up to the parents. I mean, I got Joseph into college because he did well in his GCSEs. But if they hadn't, what would them parents have taught them? Yeah. Where would they have gone? I did Joseph a CV. No one else taught him how to do a CV.
So a lot of them, they've gone from, if I say young kids to older kids to young adults.
Yeah.
Which has been completely different. Like I said, they've been lockdown happened overnight, stay at home.
Yeah.
18 months later, it's kind of started lifting.
So
some of them they've done the last 2 years at school, not at school. Like you said, they haven't had the school discos, they've not had the proms and all that. Some have, some haven't. No. But then you've also gone from an older child to a young adult.
Yeah.
And you've missed out on a lot of stuff, and then now you can go out again. Some of them are going to college or work or whatever. They've missed that bit, finishing off being a child and starting being an adult.
I
can't imagine that.
Some advice of where to go next. What college can I join? Can I just sit with you to see what college? Because I don't know about colleges. I'm just the one that goes to work. You know what I mean? I don't know what's out there, if I'm honest. And I didn't have anybody to go to either. So it was a case of searching yourself. So you just kind of left. And then what other thing that worries me is during this lockdown, these kids became 18. So now the pubs have opened, they've had no social life for nearly 2 years. Here, go in a pub.
Yeah.
Go and drink in a pub with all the adults.
And I think another thing as well is social media. Because there's a lot of, and then this isn't just youngsters, when you know, because sometimes it's your young adults, your early 20s and that. A lot of people have spent a lot of time inside and they've been on social media and all that falling out and the bullying, because it does happen, and all that kind of craziness that happens on social media. Keyboard warriors. But then all of a sudden you're back out in the real world and you're bumping into these people.
Now they can drink in a pub legally. So they all meet up in a pub. I don't know. It's wrong, isn't it? Nobody's thought about the younger generation throughout all this. It's just not fair.
Right, so I've got another one here as well. When things have happened in the community that's beyond the control of a parent, not everybody is on side. So not everybody comes up going, oh, you know, not everyone's supportive. A lot of people are. There's a certain element, and I'll say it's minimal, and I'll say trolls. Because that's what people are, back to keyboard warriors. And certain people like to go on the social media and dig up the past, which is beyond the control of anybody. You know, like people could be having a go at you because of what happened to your son. That's not your fault. And I know full well, and I hope ISIF doesn't mind me saying this, you've been a victim of that. And people have been, or a person or people are, you know, and I'll say allegedly, because we've got to be careful, haven't we? But people have been making horrible comments, posting trolling you, basically trolling you. I know it's not acceptable, it isn't. And if anyone is watching, look on the Nottingham Evening Post website. They just literally done a story today. I can actually say it now because I have to keep quiet for ages. There's a lady from Stapleford. She's been trolling people for ages. They've put her name in the newspapers. I ain't going to say a name on here, but you can find it. The Nottingham Post has just done a story on it. She's been sent to prison for 3 years for trolling. It's the same person, and again, I'll say allegedly trolling Daniela Westbrook. And she was trolling myself and my wife Donna. She was also trolling my friend Tracy and Baz from over Coventry Birmingham way. That's who ended up taking her to court. My evidence was submitted to the police. They ballsed all that up before it took that long to get to CPS. They couldn't use my evidence because the CPS said it took too long to present it to us. That's not any local police. I'm not having a go at them because I get on with them all the time. But people do troll, and I know that Hyacinth's been a victim of this. And I'm just wondering if it's something you want to talk about. How does it make you feel?
I've been doing this line of work for quite a while. Supporting families who've lost their children, a child, supporting both sides actually, you know, because I know that once your young person goes through that door, you can't be responsible for what they do. You know, that door's shut and you're on the other side. So over the last 5 years, my family my son committed a crime, awful crime, and I've heard people say I've supported him. He's my son, I love him, but I've not supported what he's done. I'm still in disbelief myself. So for anyone saying I've supported him, no, I haven't. I went to court. Obviously, I went to court. It's my son, you know, and I listened to the evidence. I learned about what was happening by sitting in the court. No one told me. I didn't have inside information or stuff like that. But over the last 5 years, a few people feel that it's their right to write about me and my daughter on Facebook or wherever they want to do it, send emails, make phone calls to say that we're scum. Well, you know, we're innocent, we're victims in this as well. You know, I didn't say to my son, do anything. I didn't know anything was happening. I found out when the rest of the world found out, you know, and some of the messages that they're sending, it breaks my heart. But, you know, I've been doing this work. I'll continue supporting families on both sides, the victims, the perpetrators, if they want my support. But I'm not gonna, these bullies, and I'll say it here, you bullies are not gonna stop me from doing the work I do, because at the end of the day, I'm innocent. You know, as far as I'm concerned, my art's for the community. If you don't like me, I don't care. You know, I like me, and I'll continue doing what I'm doing. I've been doing this work a long time, and we had no funding. I funded this project from 1999 until 2016, off my own back, working 2 jobs. So if you've got a lot to say, you know, to your keyboard, you keep it to your keyboard, because at the end of the day, you can't go around blaming people for what's done. Remember, you know, when you're blaming someone else for something, you don't know what's around the next corner for you. So you know what, respect everyone. There's 2 sides to every story. Just leave people alone and get on with your own business.
I mean, I know what happened, because I think I was one of the first people you rang when it started. And the first thing I said to you was, dig your heels in. And when someone tells you you can't do it twice and take a photo of yourself doing it.
When did we start persecuting good people for doing good things? That's just terrible. There's one person that did something. Doesn't mean everybody else is bad, does it? It's just, when do we stop that? It's just hate, isn't it? It's hate. I mean, you shouldn't persecute people for trying to do a good thing.
I think it's more than that as well. It's hate. It's hate and it's hateful. It's also jealousy.
Yeah.
because I've known Hyacinth for quite a few years, and I don't know how many. It seems like forever, and it's not forever. It's 5 or 6 years, and it does feel like forever, and that's a good thing. The first person after I spoke to you last year, Hyacinth was the first person I rang up and said, "Can you come to Stayford because I need some help?"
Yeah.
I wouldn't have rang her up if I didn't think she'd help, and she's been nothing but help.
Yeah.
Prior to what happened last year, a few years ago, we had some, I'll say, troubled youngsters coming to the youth club, and they was getting into trouble, and they'd all got banned from the youth club. And Chayah came over with some of the Justin and some of the others, and they're absolute legends. They've all been a little bit naughty when they were younger. I'm not saying who hasn't, because not everyone has. I know what I did when I was younger. It doesn't mean that's me now. Justin isn't like that now, and none of the others. And they came over to Stapleford. They didn't have to, but they did. And they worked with these youngsters. Some of them went back to school. Some of them went to college. Some of them got a job. All right, some of them probably carried on getting into trouble. You can't turn everybody around all the time. But they was all dead polite. And the thing is, I wouldn't have rang up Chayah if I didn't think they'd come and help, and if I didn't trust them, and if I didn't know what they was doing was from the heart.
Yeah, what I did when I was 18, I certainly won't be doing now.
No, of course, because you grow up.
Yeah.
You know, you have your own families and that. You
one
don't have
thing,
changes.
like Lurleen's always like taught me, and I always say it to my boys, right, yes, you can't be there all the time, but Lurleen always says you have choices.
Yeah.
So when the boys go out, I go, you've got your choices, make the right choice.
Yeah.
And Lurleen, when she says that, I think, God, that is just so plain, isn't it? But it is their choice.
Yeah.
You can instill whatever your parents, you can give as much love as possible, but just one wrong choice could just have such a massive impact on the whole community.
Mm.
And it's not anybody else's fault. It's just a wrong choice.
Yeah, anybody can be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Absolutely.
100%. So we've been doing this for 50 minutes now. I don't know if anyone else has got anything to say, or I mean, we can always do more sessions like this and get more people involved. I think that would be quite good, actually.
Can I ask a question? And it's something I asked Richard, and I was saying to Lisa, how do we get the local authorities to work more and get more work like the Chayah Project involved?
Okay. Well, what I did as a councillor, I'm vice chair of community safety at Roxton Borough Council. So I spoke to the chairman, and we got the Chayah group to come down. Now on our next agenda for our next meeting, which I can't remember when it is, it's January, February, or whatever, it actually says on the work programme to come up at that meeting, and I bet you don't even know yet. It says on there, and you can find this on the internet, it's public knowledge, I'm not just pretending by saying it now, it's actually out there. It says, how can the council support the Chayah Development Project? So now they've come in to talk to us and say, look, this is what they do. Now we need to know as a council, what can we do to support them to be able to do that? And I think more councillors who are in these positions, I think someone earlier said key holders. So, you know, I'll give you
an example. Sorry? At the moment, the youth offending team are looking for mentors, and we've got young people who want mentors, and we just can't get them, and yet we can't refer to the Chayah Project, which I know some of my young people would, well engage with.
See, we did that at the youth club by bringing them down there.
But how do we do it like a school level when they want mentors? Someone like the Chayah Project. I mean, we're lucky we've got you, and you two work together, and that's why it's worked. But not all councils do that. So how does Lurleen get a referral to a mentor? I get it. There's something missing, isn't it?
It's all this red tape because
missing.
Like Lurleen says, he can't make a referral to us because we're not one of the preferred agencies. But the preferred agencies are not actually engaging.
And I find that as a worker very frustrating when I've got parents saying to me, we need help, but they're then told it's the mental waiting list is like 18 months or 2 years.
Too long, isn't it?
What the hell?
Not then. 2 years is too long, isn't it? So what?
Exactly.
What if you could say to me now, Richard, do this as a councillor, what would you ask me to do? I'm not saying I can do it, so I'm just saying, if you could ask me as a councillor, Richard, do this to help.
I would definitely like, as well as got the back, but I think, to be fair, we've already got the Chayah Project there, and I think if we could get them to be more acceptable for the local authorities and bring them in as a service, I think that would help a lot of people, especially in the county, because Hyacinth has got her record. It speaks for itself. And I think it's about getting, I don't know, is it snobbery? I've said it before. Is it because she comes from the city? I don't know. And this is county. Is there a bit of that? And I'll be honest, because I think sometimes
I must say there then, as a Broxton Borough Councillor, Broxton Borough Council must be leading the way on this one then. Because you've been to see us and we're now actually asking what can we do to help you.
That's because you pushed it. Yeah. That's because you pushed it. But I don't think everyone's the same as you.
No. But all the councillors in that room was all...
Yeah, because you've told them to shut up and listen.
And they did.
Calls from them since as well.
Yeah.
And because it's happened on their doorstep.
Yeah.
Don't forget that. That has been the catalyst, because I don't think it would have happened before that.
So it's finding a councillor in that other area that's not Broxton, because Broxton we're doing what we're doing because we are a good council. Other councils need to have that one person.
Have you got like a WhatsApp group for all the other councils?
No.
You could just do it one person in each one.
And that's all you need. You need that one person
to join together
to get you through the door, to introduce you to the other councillors, and then it snowballs from there, because this is what's happening. And as you said, I know full well that councillors from Broxton have contacted you. I don't know what about, because that's private between you and them. But I know they've contacted you because they've asked me for your details, and I've just said, here's the details, ring them. Don't let me know what it's about because it's private. But if I can help, we work together. I'm not just about Stapleford. I won't help anyone anywhere. We've got a massive, gigantic event going on in Leeds tomorrow. Unfortunately, I can't get because Hyacinth's doing something in Nottingham that I've been invited to, and I've got no idea what's going off, but it is what it is. But I'm going to be there and I'll find out what's happening. But we've got a big thing going off in Leeds, so I'm involved in stuff all over the country. But we do need people more closer.
Yeah.
And I'm sure them people are out there, but it's finding that one person that's got the balls
everybody
to stand up and say, listen to this is what we can do.
One person in each council needs to be
It's not a lot to ask, is it?
just for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
To
I'm just going to see if there's any questions.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's.
I mean, in the city, we've got the VRU, which now, Richard, you joined, haven't you? So the violence reduction unit, you
only in the city.
No. It started in the city, but Richard is now one of the county ambassadors, isn't he?
Yeah.
So
I can't remember the lady who runs it, the interim.
Natalie.
Yeah, so Natalie messaged me. We did a Zoom meeting, which I hate doing, but we're doing that kind of thing now, so I can't hate it that much. And she was telling me all about the VRU and that, and I listened to her. And halfway through the meeting, she says, "Oh, do you want to be an ambassador?" And she says, "But I'm going away on holiday tomorrow. Get back to me when I get back off my holiday." Well, I think before we even finished talking on the internet and everything, I filled all the paperwork in and sent it back to her because I was that excited.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I am the first, but I'm one of the first county ambassadors, because I think the majority are in the city. I'm definitely the first one that side of Nottingham, and that again, that is where I wanted the city and the county to work together, because the VRU isn't a city thing, it isn't a county thing, it's a Nottinghamshire thing, right. And it's the Nottinghamshire Violence Reduction Unit. It's
so that will cover everything.
That covers everything, and the people that's on that are amazing.
Do you think that would be a step forward, Lurleen?
No, because it doesn't cover what I do, which is that I work with families who are on the cusp, like the referral I put in for Henry. That doesn't cover a lot of that. There is a lot of still middle ground missing. There's still a lot of, that's fine for what it does, but there's still a lot of young people who are getting bullied, who are too scared to come forward. I've got a young man in Beeston. I've done a referral to Base 51 for him because I don't know where else to find support for this young man who is too scared to go out on his bike, could do with a mentor, but where do I find somebody like that?
This is what we need to do then, because there's two ambassadors here. This is where we need to go back to the VRU and say, look, it's brilliant what we're doing as a whole. It's really good what we're doing, but there's some pieces of the jigsaw missing. So we need to find out. It's all right reducing the violence. That's a good thing. What about stopping the violence in the first place? That's even better. Preventative. So we need to get more of that involved in it, don't we?
And where can Lurleen send these young people for help?
Yeah.
Where there isn't anywhere, is there?
Because the community centres are there.
Yeah. But
a lot of these groups are in the city. I know they're starting to come on the outskirts. There's the young lad that ever so sorry, I forget his name, but he was part of the Python group, and he's got another group now. Is that his name? Okay, and so there's a young lad, and he set up a group, and I say I know what it's called. I've just forgotten. I can't check on social media because my phone's over there recording. And he's actually got some funding to do some work in Stapleford, and then I think he said Mansfield and Ashfield. I might be wrong on them areas, but he 100% said Stapleford. So he's coming over to have a meeting at the youth club, and we're going to see what he can do working in Stapleford because he's got some funding. And you know, I know he's big into boxing and that. So that's another thing. We've got. It would be nice to have a boxing ring somewhere in Stapleford, where kids can go and take the anger out and everything. Unfortunately, at the minute, we haven't got anything like that. It doesn't mean we can't get it. We've got this new hub coming, but that's down the line. It's not now, is it? So it's dead good. He's got some funding and that, and I look forward to him doing some work in Stapleford.
Should I tell you what? I asked Base 51 about some mentoring for this, my young person I was on about, and even they came back and said, Lennon, we can't think of anywhere which suits what you're asking for. And that's not good.
This is where, even in the city, there's groups in the city and there's still no crossover, because Base 51, the referral that you've made is something that we could work with, but Base 51 has just looked at it and says no. They've not, you know, scouted out to see if there's anyone else. They've just looked at it and says no.
Right, there you go.
Where working together needs to come into force.
So, and that's it. I've got young people who are victims of crime, who have no support, nowhere to go, and feel very, very let down.
Yeah.
And that's what Got Your Back is, Richard. Got Your Back is about for young people who have faced crime but have nowhere to go. That's what it's about. At the moment, Nottingham, yes, we know we have victim support, but often my victims are telling me that's not what they want. They want somebody who's not going to give them a time scale, you know,
as long as
and that's it.
Yeah. And that's what they need.
Yeah.
They don't want to be here. They don't want to hear we've got 6 sessions. No one wants to hear that.
No.
It's just, there's a start with no finish, is it? It's just you finish when you finish.
It would be nice if it was like a job on a council, for each council to have that one person to direct mentors in certain areas, or just someone to work with the council, to work with the Chayah. When this new hub opens in Stapleford, like I said, I know it's going to be a while, but what one of the pieces to that is, because there's going to be a youth club and a community hub, we're actually putting a job prescription together at the minute, and there's going to be a vacancy for a community engagement and a youth engagement officer, which is brilliant. It's not now, it's down the line. So at least that's coming. That's what we need. Everywhere. Yeah. So we're going to have one with them specifically in Stapleford, and I'm sure the right person will apply for it, and we get the best person ever. Then they can do all that linking together. So that's really good. The funding's there for that. It's part of this money we got. But that's down the line. It's not now, is it? No. And I think things need to be like now, and I know that's not possible. But we have all been locked up for like too long, and things need to be now because it's already too late. Yeah. I don't think we've found the full force of all this yet.
No, and the amount of, I mean, we're looking at young people, and I'm talking about young people from the age of probably 8 years of age upwards, because this lockdown, there's been a lot of deaths, you know, there's been that isolation period where a lot of them have just either stayed in their homes and played their games
or been on the phone.
So it's you know, they've lost their social skills.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, so it's about peeling this back now and starting all over again with them.
Yeah, I think the youth teams are going to be busy.
Do you know what I actually, because like I said, I think we should do more things like this, because it has given me some ideas to go away and do a bit of homework in that. And then I do need the Chayah group to put something together, because that's got to come back to the council. But I'm sure we'll get the officers to contact you on that one to make sure it's done properly. But it would be good to get some youngsters sat around the table as well.
We can do
that. So I think if we get some youngsters from, let's say, Stapleford, get some youngsters from up here,
City and County.
Do you know what I mean? And then sit them around the table as well, and do one of these video things with the youngsters, because they'll probably find that what is it you say, they've got more in common than they've got against each other, but they don't realise because they don't know each other, they don't interact.
It's a divide, and that's why we've got that programme, Crossing Boundaries.
Yeah.
Because there is so many boundaries that's being put in front of our young people that the only word they know is I can't and I won't.
Yeah.
You know, and we need to break that because they can and they will. You know, so we just need to let them, like when our young men came to Stapleford, they realised, oh, there's not much difference.
No.
No,
You
Let's do more of
know,
that.
you know, so it's
more
not
difference
different.
with me and them.
Yeah, no, there is. I mean, that's like
On the park.
we need to do more events as well. Like, so I've got a really good idea for something on Nickens Lane Park, and I spoke to the VRU about it, and they're fully behind it. So we're going to try and get some funding and do a youth event on Nickens Lane Park.
Yeah, it needs to
which is
be
going to
loud,
involve all kinds of stuff.
busy
Yeah.
and
Engaging.
Youthful.
Yeah, a youth event, and I also think we should do one over here as well, and then
Yeah.
mix the kids up, because I remember the other year, I think it was in that carnival up here,
Mm.
and I kind of came over at the end of it because we'd been somewhere else, and my daughter and her friends were in the car, and they didn't want to get out. Oh, we're in St Anne's, it's dead scary, and we pulled up at the back of the other
Chase.
car office,
Yeah,
and
the
Robin
Chase.
Hood Chase, and they didn't want to get out of the car. And then as soon as, I think it was Damien at the time, walking around in his pajama top and a smoker's jacket,
Dressing gown.
and the minute he walked up to me, because lots of people was there who didn't know who I am, and they was like, oh, what's he doing up here? And that kind of attitude, because it's the same all over the place. And as soon as Damien come up and spoke to me, the whole attitude changed, and everyone's like, oh yeah, he's all right, he's friends with him. So my daughter and all the mates got out of the car and was like, they felt at ease. But they shouldn't be able to come up and do that anyway. So I think we need to do more like city events, county events, mix all the
Mix
kids
them
up
together.
together and that, and
Yeah.
show them they have got the same issues.
Yeah.
Let's get them working on it, you know. And I've never been a big sporty person, but let's have a football match, you know, Stapleford against St Anne's or something. I'm sure we could work that out. Let's do some other things that's not sporty. You know, this recording studios up this side, isn't it? I want to get some of the kids over from Stapleford to the recording studio, and I've already spoke to a few people, and I think
We've got a young man that made that CD. Remember?
Yeah.
That's the track the other day.
I forgot his name now. He was on the VRU, and I was talking to him the other day about his dance studio.
Oh, Courtney.
Courtney Rose,
Yeah.
absolute legend.
Take one.
He says we can come over to his studio anytime, and I remember him from way back when we was all breakdancers in the 80s and that, and he said come over, so get some of the youngsters over there, because people are into dancing and all that.
Yeah.
We've got to mix it
And
all up,
showcase
haven't
at the end of it,
Yeah.
showcase, you
What
know,
event on?
that our young
Yeah.
people are united. But if we keep them separated, the only time they will come together is probably employment.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, and that's age, you know.
Yeah.
So we need to do it. We need to do it early.
One of my daughter's best friends since she started college lives in St Anne's, and she was up here the other week, and she stayed at a friend's house, and I was like, yeah, not a problem with that. Donna was a little bit worried, and she says, oh, you know, as a parent, you're allowed to be worried about your kids. You've got to be, and she turned around and she says to Danny, well, I'm a bit worried about you going up there because things happen to people. And Danny, being the clever child that she is, she went, well, things happen to people in Stapleford as well. Do you know what I mean? It's so I think it's nice that one of her best mates lives up here, because she spends time up here now, but we need to mix them, because there's more in common than there is.
But then the stereotype, like the parents sometimes don't move. See, I've been running around here because Gable used to go boxing down
As yes.
yeah, down
Switch
there.
up,
Yeah.
So I used to go running around here, but some parents don't do that. They don't move out of certain areas, do they?
Well, places
I've
get a
always done it.
reputation.
Yeah.
Places get a
Yeah,
reputation.
well,
and it
I'm from
sticks.
Derby, so I'm.
Well, I won't hold that against you. You've got a rubbish football team, but if you go like Top Shops where I live, Montrose Court, or probably Estate, there's a lot of people that won't go up there. Oh, it's really rough, it's got a bad name. It did that in the 70s,
Oh, right, okay. I don't.
when Shoplock used to hang around up there, and they're all like in the 60s now. You know, and then my age group used to go there in the 80s. We weren't as bad as the ones before, and the youngsters that go up there, they're like wannabe gangsters and that. They've been watching too many 50 Cent videos, and they need to stop watching all that rubbish and just actually realise, you know, it's dead nice where we live. Let's keep it nice. Let's get on with everybody, and let's bring people in from other areas and do things together. So that's we need to do more community working, but bringing people in and going out the community and working together.
Reality. I think that's what we
Yeah.
need. We need some reality.
So I think we need to kind of like knock this on the head soon as well, don't we? So
Yes.
I'll just say thank you to everybody for listening. If whoever's watching, thank you to Lisa, because I know you're really busy. Thank you to Aya, because I know you're really busy. The young man that's lying at the back over there whizzing around on the chair because he's probably bored out his brains. So
And Lily.
And Lurleen that's on here as well, as not hiding, but she's here in
I'm on the phone.
And thank you for coming to Stafford the other week, because I know the youngsters appreciate it, and I know the adults did as well, because lots of people's been going on about it.
Well,
for
from,
ages, so.
to be fair, from that came the fact that I'm due to have a meet with the local police area for that area and have a conversation with them on how I think we can increase the police presence with the young people and have more interaction. And I've pushed for that, especially for where I am in the south, to have more interaction with the young people. I think I don't always get met with the most enthusiasm about doing it. Actually, and funny enough, that's not from the young people, it's from the other side. But I keep pushing that. I think that there should be young people having that engagement with the, trying to get our police officers as well.
Yeah, I do.
That's what we're doing it for. We're doing it for youngsters. If we're not going to listen to them, we might as well knock it on the head, haven't we, and not do it. So, we've got to listen to them, haven't we? So
yeah.
I think we should say thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lily.
And then
You're welcome. Keep me informed if you need me to join another any meetings, but lovely to hopefully see you guys again soon.
Yeah, you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Will do. Thank you, guys. Bye.
So I think that's what we need to do. Get some youngsters from Stapleford, some from St Anne's. Do one of these sessions here, and then do one of these sessions over there as well. Oh, what is that? Right, toodaloo everybody that's watching. Thanks for it's still recording.